Hello, this is the lecture for Iskra Fileva's article, Historical Inaccuracy in Fiction. So this is an article about aesthetics. So aesthetics is the branch of philosophy that's about primarily art and all the topics related to art. And beauty is kind of like the big topic related to art, which is like what makes art good? What makes art beautiful? What is it for art to be beautiful? And so, you know, it investigates topics like, is there objective beauty? Is something objectively more or less of a good artwork than some other thing? Can we rank artworks or something like this? What is it to judge an artwork to be good or bad or beautiful or not beautiful? Are there better judges? What makes them better judges? What are we judging when we judge art? What makes something art? If AI creates something, can this be art? If, some random pattern of wind blows some rocks together and they look like a sculpture, is that art? Is that a sculpture even? So those are the sorts of things aesthetics investigates. We have some aesthetics topics in our topics to possibly be voted on. So if you're interested in it, there's much to investigate. This lecture is not going to be at all about aesthetics. It's about a topic really in the philosophy of language that comes up in this article. A conversational implicature, as you can see from the outline. So, as she says on page 160, Gendler, as well as Hazlitt and Magrider, cashes out this concept of invitation in terms of conversational implicature. The question is not what the author might have explicitly had in mind, but what the consumers are warranted in inferring on the basis of convention of genre and mutual background assumptions. To illustrate the point with an example, consider a joke about people in Vermont, related by mathematician Raymond Smullyan. A Vermont farmer once went to the neighboring farmer and asked, Lem, what did you give your horse that time it had the colic? Lem replied, bran and molasses. Farmer went away and returned a week later and said, Lem, I gave my horse bran and molasses, and it died. Lem replied, so did mine. Pretty funny. Lem here is clearly violating the rules of conversational implicature. If he didn't want to mislead his neighbor, he has to volunteer the information that his own horse died. The neighbor has a legitimate grievance against Lem, even if perchance Lem did not intend to mislead. So this idea of conversational implicature is the idea that when we say things, what we're actually saying is much more than just the literal meaning of the words that we speak. So, for instance, when the farmer asks Lem, what did you give the horse the time it had the colic? And Lem says bran and molasses. What that literally means is that Lem fed his horse bran and molasses when it was sick with the colic. But as the joke points out, when you're the farmer and you hear Lem say that, what you're going to assume is that this is what Lem did to make his horse get better, like that this actually worked. Why do you assume that? Well, it's not because Lem actually said this. The literal meaning of bran and molasses is just, well, in fact, the literal meaning is just bran and molasses. There's two things that are implied here. First, what's implied is that this is what Lem fed the horse. But the second thing that's implied is like that the horse got better. Why is it implied that? Well, look, if the horse had actually died, Lem would say that. Now, of course, in this case, Lem is like being weird for the sake of the joke. So Lem doesn't say that. But in a normal conversation, if somebody says, what medicine did you take when you were sick? And you said, oh, I took this. They're going to assume that you got better unless you add, but it didn't work, so don't take that. Because it's assumed that when somebody is asking you advice, you're going to give them the relevant information, not just literally what they asked for, not just what did you feed the horse or what medicine did you take, but it's assumed you're going to give them other relevant information, like did it work? And especially if it didn't work, you would give that information. So if you don't give that information, it's assumed it worked. And in fact, almost everything we say, the meaning goes much, much beyond just the literal meaning of the words. There's conversational implicature involved in almost everything we say. And what conversational implicature is just what is implied by what is said. Pragmatically is the label we use for this. So if you want, you could start looking for examples of conversational implicature all over. This is an extremely widespread phenomenon. It happens all the time. Probably almost everything you say every day implies certain things. And if you're interested, the one place to start is what's called Grice's maxims. So these are philosopher linguist sort of working out the implicit rules of a conversation. And it's sort of assumed somebody is following the rules and that you can sort of imply things based on the rules. And if somebody violates one of the rules, then that also implicates certain things. So that's one place to start if you're interested in this topic. I don't know if we have any. I think we must have some philosophy of language stuff in the topics to vote on. But if we don't and you want some stuff, let me know and maybe we can put something in about conversational implicature or anything else.